Good evening, everyone. Okay, today we shall, yeah, hi, Mulinson. Hi. So today we shall discuss Indian economic review because economic survey has been postponed due to elections. So they have released 74 pages document of Indian economic review, and especially for interview students also, there are some few important points in today's class. So interview students are also attending today's class. And some important topics for prelims as well. Okay, so coming prelims, we'll be discussing. And some of the answers I haven't given in the slides. So yes, you can just take a note whenever I provide the answers of the questions. So let's start the discussion. Is my voice clear? Okay, fine. So let's start. First, we'll start with a simple keyword which is used in this review. Like in the beginning 2-3 pages, this word has been used, like marginal utility. So basics even in interview as well, and even in prelims also, they may try to ask you some basics like what is marginal utility. So try to answer this question. So very basic aspect they may ask, like what is marginal utility. So marginal utility is basically, if you see, total utility due to consumption of one additional unit of commodity. Okay, for example, whatever extra satisfaction you get when you take one more additional unit of that particular commodity, it is called marginal utility. Okay, so that one additional unit when you take, and that additional satisfaction which you get is basically marginal utility. Simple. Can you give me some examples? Okay, when you take certain things where you're it talks about, yes, mangoes are there, or you're eating some pizza or so. Okay, so but again, okay, one mango, two mango is fine. But if you are having 10 mangoes, what is going to happen to the marginal utility? Okay, the marginal utility will definitely decrease. Okay, means what happens if you are consuming the product again and again, sometimes, yes, you will also feel the dissatisfaction. Okay, so that is called diminishing aspect of this marginal utility. So it generally diminishes with increasing consumption of the commodity. So both are right, and more or less they are talking about that the marginal utility of growth of India's growth is good. Okay, means if this statement, if I'm saying that marginal utility of India's growth is good, then what does it mean? Yes, marginal utility of India's growth is good means, let us say, it is positive. So it is positive means what do you understand by this term? Marginal utility of growth is positive. See the definition here. Generally, we have given for commodity. If I ask for growth, what will be the meaning of it? So the utility is high, okay, when the additional product is consumed in the uh, economy. Okay, so the utility is high when an additional product is consumed in the economy. So people are, yeah, does not diminish easily. Okay, so it is not diminishing basically. Okay, so even if there people are consuming more products, as such, we are not seeing the diminishing aspect. So that is what the economic review also says, because they are trying to compare with the other economies. Like for example, now the growth of let us say the developed economies is around 2%. Okay, so there can we say that diminishing aspect is there? in those economies now in the present scenario after COVID? Okay, so after COVID, definitely in some of the developed countries and all, that scenario is definitely there. But in India, the review says that in India, more or less, it is kind of positive. Okay, marginality of the growth is kind of positive. So this will help even in interview as well. If they ask you the differences because of the recent difference between economies of India as well as other countries, there you try to use this one word. And one more suggestion, especially when you answer things, is don't give a very general answer for such questions. Like when they ask you difference, and try to use this word in the beginning itself, because you will have just 10 to 15 seconds time, not more than that. So in that itself, you should try to use these words, because you have good understanding of what is marginality. Try to use that word in the interview as well, and this definitely will attract more attention. Okay, and yes, they may allot you more marks. So in your answers, these type of things has to be there. Yeah, definitely there will be a break point for everything. For Indian economy also, there may be a break point in the coming days, but now it is not there. Okay, now it is between positive. So for every commodity, let us say, there will definitely be a point where you may not be satisfied. So what is marginal utility? Marginal utility is the added satisfaction that a consumer gets having more unit of good service, and concept of margin is used by economists to determine how much of an item consumers are willing to purchase. So this idea I think you have, and if a question is asked, accordingly you try to answer. So this is one example where it talks about diminishing. Like if you're having one slice, fine, two slice, fine. But if you're having all the slices slowly, your satisfaction level will decrease. Okay, so this is example of the marginality, and how it has been mentioned in the review we already discussed. Okay, and try to use the words in your interview as well. And for prelims, like they have already asked these type of questions. So yeah, the definition aspect they'll ask you, and the diminishing aspect they may ask you. Okay, now coming to this word has been repeatedly mentioned in the document, hyperglobalization, and recently World Economic Forum has also released an article on this hyperglobalization. So for prelims as well as for interview also it's important. So basically what they may ask mostly will be here is what is that era of hyperglobalization? Okay? Generally, we say that the era of hyperglobalization is after 1991 reforms, almost till global financial crisis. Okay, almost till from 1991 to global financial crisis. Now, exactly, can I say? Can we say that still there is hyperglobalization now, or is it in decreasing trend? If they ask you, like if they ask you, hyperglobalization is in a decreasing trend in recent years, or do you see it is in increasing trend? Yes, not only after COVID, even after global financial crisis of 2008, as such, there is a lot of observation that that hyper-globalization is slowly decreasing. Yes, you can call it protectionism, you can call it nationalism. Okay, a lot of things have come up recently. So, can you give me some examples in the recent times where we are seeing decline of hyper-globalization? If they ask you, like, what are the examples? Yes, Atmanirbhar Bharat, very good. Atmanirbhar Bharat is also one type of this okay, against hyper-globalization. You can say tariff wars, very good. Visa, yes, visa restrictions, very good. Visa restrictions. Ban on exports, very good. Like for example, Russia has banned, you can say, export of what? Natural gas. Okay, to Europe. Earlier in 2020 till 2020, almost 45% of natural gas of Europe came from. It has come from Russia. So now we are what we are seeing now, these policies of this trade war and this export bans and all. they are against hyper globalization. So if they ask you, is hyper globalization fading? Yes, definitely it is fading because of recent scenarios. Even the US-China war is also is also one of the example for fading hyper globalization. Okay. So if they ask you definition, why is hyper globalization? Simple. It is like very rapid economic integration. Okay? Very rapid economic. Yes, carbon border adjustment mechanisms. Those also will come under fading hyperglobalization. Yes, you can say that. So is characterized by more rapid economic, cultural, political integration. So cross-border capital flows have never recovered their levels from before financial crisis. So this is one example of, again, fading of hyperglobalization. Whereas the capital flows have not recovered as such. So, and if they ask you the year also when there was hyperglobalization, you should focus more on 1992 till 2008. After 2008, generally it is said that there is decrease in hyperglobalization. Okay. Everyone, is it clear? The concept of hyperglobalization? Okay. So next, in the review, this word is also used a lot of times. So to try to answer this question, greenfield investment. Yeah, very good. The answer is B. Greenfield investment is basically the FDI where a parent company starts a venture in foreign country by constructing new operational facilities. See, basically, a greenfield investment itself means basically it's an FDI. Okay, so some parent company will be there. The parent company is constructing new operational facilities in a foreign country. Okay, so that is called greenfield investment, and this has been uh, uh, used this word especially has been used a lot of times there. Okay, and even in the current affairs also it is there. Okay, so greenfield investment. So simply they may ask in prelims or even in the interview also they may ask what is greenfield investment. So you should focus on the words. There are three words here. What are the three important words for greenfield investment? One is FDI, very good. One is FDI. Second is parent company, means somewhere other parent company. Okay, it will invest here where in a different new investments in a new country, okay, foreign country. So in that way, you try to remember. So when you want to explain the concept or even for the films, okay, FDI, parent, and new. Do commerce thesis suggests that. So this also recently in this Indian Express, it has been mentioned. This do commerce. So what does this basically suggest? Just go through this and let me know. do commerce. Okay, why this has been mentioned in Indian Express and in which context, why I am discussing this especially is, again, this is also based on this hyper-globalization concept, which is mentioned in the Indian Economic Review. So what is happening? See, the hyper-globalization flourished because of due commerce. Okay, I am saying hyper-globalization flourished because of due commerce. Now tell me what is the answer? Hyper-globalization flourished because of due. See, basically, due commerce is something where, for example, simple example, Russia is supplying almost 40% of this natural gas to Europe. So the basic thing about it is this commerce softens and civilizes human manners. Okay, so that is what this blue commerce is there, and that because of that actually hyper globalization worked. Okay, but now are we seeing blue commerce? Now we are not seeing this blue commerce. So earlier, what people used to like, what economics explains is when people have this the softened attitude and civilized manner and all, if you are there, generally what happens is the trade and this globalization aspect will increase. Okay, because everyone is good to everyone. But now what is happening because of this protectionist measures, nationalism, all these things? Okay, so this is not applicable in the present context. So the answer here is A. So this also may be asked in the exam because this particular word is also being discussed in the news. So it's gentle commerce argued that commerce is associated with and promotes a bundle of moral habits and attitudes, and because of this, what will happen? Commerce will prevail. Okay, there will be hyper globalization and all. But what is happening? And one example of this new commerce is, yes, Russia supplying almost 40% of European Union. Okay, so based on this moral attitude and all. But now it's not like that. Now the situation has changed. Okay, so especially this word is being discussed in the context of the Red Sea events in this recent events in Red Sea, as well as this China trade war, US-China trade war. So these examples you can give, and always in interview also, again, don't give a normal this one. Directly start with example. Like if they are asking you to do commerce and all, you give example like Russia giving almost 40% at that time. This shows that moral attitude of the Russia towards Europe, and that was part of due commerce. Now you can give the example against like this China war, US war. You can give example against this due commerce. So always try to directly start with an example because you just have 10 seconds to explain the entire thing. Example is the best way to explain. Okay. Okay. Next, coming to these words which are being asked in prelims, always like what are some these type of variables asked in the UPSC exam in area? I think in 2020 they have asked some variable, if you remember. Non-debt. Very good. Non-debt. Okay, in that way, they may ask you this in the review also. A lot of mention has been of this household financial assets, and especially recently, what happened? Household financial assets have decreased almost like to a level of 45 years or some 47 years ago. Okay, so the present level is almost some multi-decade low. So this has been covered in most of the newspapers as well, and they may ask you the reasons why this has reduced that much. Okay, household financial assets, and government has given a particular reason. So that I will discuss. Before that, I want you to answer this one. Which of the following are included under household financial assets? Simple. Again, to answer this question, you have to think about what is this household. Okay, household is there, and this financial is there, and these are assets. Okay, so what are this finance? So some idea we have this financial. What is financial? What is household? Generally, what financial assets we hold. Okay, so that should be your mostly your answer. See, first of all, very simple. Can I include loans in assets of households? It's very simple to eliminate, right? So definitely no. Okay. So loans are not part of assets. Okay. When I say net financial households or something, then yes, in the calculation loans they will include. But here I'm not saying anything. I just asked you household financial assets. In household financial loans will not be there. Okay. That's clear. Next, this financial derivatives are also not part of household financial assets because these are something very different. Okay, they don't have underlying any asset. Okay, so what are derivatives? What is the definition of derivative? What is the definition of derivative? Or what are the keywords when you define derivative? What is the keyword? Yeah, they hold value based on some underlying asset. Okay, they hold based on underlying asset. For example, let us say we talk a lot about options, right? In the trade market, in this options we call. So, what are options? Are options financial derivatives? Definitely, yes. Options are financial derivatives. So, in UPSC prelims also, they may ask you the basics like what are derivatives, some type of this type of question they will ask. And these are actually not part of household financial assets. Okay. So, loans are not part of financial assets as well as financial derivatives are also not part of this household financial. So, in this way, they may confuse you in the exam. They'll try to give you one or two things which are not part of this household financial assets. Rest, yes, deposit, debt securities, currencies, everything are household financial assets. So what is there in the news and what is mentioned in the review is basically that. Yeah, before that, try to answer this statements also. Which statement is right? Which statement is wrong? Or both right, both wrong? Okay, sometimes when I use this word itself, yes, sometimes decrease in household savings and increase in borrowings may indicate confidence in future employment and income prospects. I'll explain this clearly because this is important for both the prelims as well as interview. What is this line? I'll explain. But basically, yes, this definitely will be wrong. Household continuously increasing last decade, continuously nothing generally increases, especially these type of variables. So yeah. So what are this household financial assets? They are currency, there are debt securities, equities, shares, life insurance, even your pension funds, annuities, pension funds. All this will come under household financial assets. Okay. So what happened recently is net household financial savings dropped to 5.1% of GDP in 2023, reckoned to be the lowest since 1976-77, almost like 4 decades. Okay, it's lowest for 4 decades. Why this is happening is the finance minister has mentioned this that see, household savings means what I'm saying is these are currency deposits, everything are there. Okay. Now, for example, what the reason they have given is If I'm buying some fixed asset, like for example, I'm taking loan to buy an house, what will happen to my savings? Decrease or increase? Definitely, it will decrease. For example, I want to buy a vehicle as well. Vehicle. So if I buy a vehicle, what will happen to my savings? Mostly, I'll buy it from deposits or currency. Okay. Again, it will decrease. Okay. So what is the reason why there is very less financial savings? The government says that it is not that the overall the savings have decreased. Okay. Yes, it says that consumption expenditure has increased, especially on what we are spending our savings now, according to the ministry. We are spending on two things. One is house and vehicle loans. So this is the reason they have given that the savings rate is reduced, not because just our incomes have reduced or something like that. No, the money is being spent on, yes, buying houses and buying vehicles. Okay, this is the reason they have given. So why we are doing this? Earlier, yes, we used to save a lot, maybe deposits, current, everything we used to save, but now we are going for housing, vehicles, everything. We are going for more consumption expenditure. So what is the underlying reason behind that? See, we have that like every time we generally tend to save, right? Okay, because for future, why are we saving? For future, right? For future thing. But now we know that our prospects are very good in the future. Let us say, okay, our income prospects or our future employment prospects are very good. Then definitely people will spend more. Yes, especially you can say middle income group. Okay, so if they see that the prospects are good, the income is good in the future and all, they'll try to spend now as well. Okay, so this is what they have given explanation for why there is a reduction in this savings. Is it clear, everyone? So in the interview also, if they ask you, okay, that why you see recent savings are decreasing and all, so you should not say that the income overall or because of the COVID, these things are decreasing. No, that will be a wrong answer. Okay. So what the actual answer is, we are spending more on these assets, and also we have like we have confident that the future prospects are good. This is clear, right, everyone? There is no doubt in this slide. The basic reason you just have to remember for the exam. So either they will ask you the increase decrease aspect, or they will ask you the reason, and all they will ask you what are basically financial assets, household financial assets that I have given here. You can go through. Next, it is also talking about net financial assets. The review is also talking about net financial assets. Net means basically again liabilities. Obviously, liabilities will come up. So basically, what it says is the liabilities are almost 33%. Okay, and if you see the overall financial assets are now almost 103%. Okay, so net financial assets basically are around 65% of GDP. So more than 50%, you can say. Net financial assets of households is more than 50%. Just remember that more than 50% of GDP, around 65%. So why do you think here it is more than GDP? Any idea? Why are financial assets more than GDP? So when I'm talking about assets and GDP, there is a difference there. What is that one word? Can anyone tell me? Recently, in Economic Forum also, there is a World Economic Forum. There is an article on this, especially. Should we calculate GDP, or should we go for calculating wealth? should we go for calculating wealth? So the country should be compared based on what wealth they are generating, or the country should be compared based on gross domestic product. So this debate is also there. So yes, after the class, I'll share that article to just remind you. So wealth or GDP. So it is mostly talking about here wealth. Okay. Yeah. Time frames in wealth. What will happen in wealth? The time frame is, it is not just 1 year, right? Okay. Wealth you will be generating. Whatever wealth is there, with that wealth, how much you are generating, they want to calculate rather than just GDP. So what all accumulated assets are there? Those accumulated assets are generating how much value. Okay, that is what if you calculate, that comes under wealth. So they want like that article talks about this aspect. Okay? So based on wealth, whatever that wealth is creating some value, that has to be calculated rather than GDP. So you go through that article. If you have any doubt, you can ask me. I'll explain. Okay, what is this difference between wealth and GDP? For example, give me some examples of wealth. Very good. Is wealth tangible and intangible? This also has been asked in UPSC, I think in 2017 or 18. Exactly this concept has been asked. Wealth is both tangible and intangible again. Okay, wealth is both tangible and intangible. So skills and all you come under intangible. And what are tangible wealth? Tangible wealth. Tangible wealth is you can say your house is a tangible wealth. Okay. Yes, the physical aspect, which is the tangible wealth. Yes, assets, capital assets, and all. So in that way, what all wealth, this wealth will create some value, right, every year. So that is what they wanted to calculate among the countries rather than GDP. So this concept also is important. So if they ask you, is GDP good in interview and all, so there also you try to mention this wealth concept, maybe definitely they will be impressed. Okay, so that article I'll share, just remind me after the class. Okay. Next, which of the following statements are correct? In effect, demonetization is similar to devaluation of currency. Indian currency was devalued 3 times since independence. So again, the review also talks about this devaluation because it was talking about from 1950s to almost 1991 till 2008 and all. So in that, they have mentioned this aspect devaluation. So in interview also I have seen some questions they are asking very basic history part of economics also they are trying to ask. And what happened recently in Tamil Nadu, this especially they in that one, I think in some exam they've asked this one, and this question has been like some student has filed some case on this question, and then RBI has to reply for this. Okay, so what is the exact RBI reply? I'll tell you, and that may be helpful for prelims as well. Okay. So in that exam, in that Tamil Nadu exam, the statement is Indian currency was devalued 4 times since independence. So is that right statement or wrong statement? Indian currency was devalued 4 times since independence. Okay. So that was the debate. Is it 3 times? Is it 4 times? Then RBI has to give a clarity on that. So what clarity did RBI give? I'll discuss here. So devaluation, I think you have idea about devaluation and depreciation. So basic difference, tell me again, what is the keywords here for devaluation and depreciation? Devaluation and depreciation. What is the one keyword which differentiates both devaluation and depreciation? Yes, deliberate and opposite What is the opposite of deliberate here? Market. Very good. Very good. So one side devaluation, you can write deliberate. Okay. Deliberate reduction of our value of the rupee. Whereas depreciation is market. Market based reduction of value of rupee is depreciation, and deliberate reduction of value of rupee is devaluation. So this basic difference we have to learn every year. Remember, a question is being asked on this every year. Every year you can go and check in 2021, 22, 23, 24. A question has been definitely asked on devaluation and depreciation, especially considering the rupee crisis. Okay. So you should definitely have clarity on what is depreciation, what is devaluation, what is market based, what is deliberate. Okay. Next, coming to this RBI explanation. So the Indian rupee was devalued in 1949, 1966, and 1991. So what RBI says is Indian rupee has been devalued in 3 instances. If I say 3 instances, is it right statement? Indian rupee has been devalued in 3 instances. The statement is right. Okay. 3 instances, it is a right statement. 4 times. 4 times, is it right? Okay. 4 times, again, it is right. So what RBI says is 3 instances it has been reduced. Instances means yes, in 1949, 1966, and 1991. In 3 instances, devaluation has been done. But how many times? In 1991, what happened? They have done twice, on July 1st as well as July 3rd. See, July 1st or 3rd is not important, but just remember in 1991 itself, it was done twice. Okay, so 1949 once, 1969 second time, 1991 in July 1st third time, and on July 3rd fourth time. Okay, so what RBI says is the currency has been devalued in 3 instances but 4 times. So this clarity RBI is given, and this is important for the exam as well, and even in the interview also, if they ask you, this clarity you need to have. Okay, is this clear, everyone? Devaluation, instances, and time. No confusion, right? 3 instances. What are the years? Tell me. What are the years? What are those 3 instances? 1949, yes, 66, and 91. Again, why we are discussing this? Some form of chronology or somewhere they'll try to ask you this. Okay, it's not that direct numbers are important, but yes, how they may ask. Nowadays, we are seeing that chronology type of instances for type of events type of questions also. So in that event type of questions, these may be important. Okay, 1949, 66, and 1991. Okay, next, implementation of insolvency and bankruptcy code, pitfalls and solutions, standing committee on finance. Okay, and in the review also, Indian review, especially this IBC and SURFACE Act has been mentioned a lot of times. And recently, very recently, so for interview students especially, it's important. I think just it has been 1 week that this report has come out. Implementation of insolvency, bankruptcy report, pitfalls and solutions, standing committee of finance has released a report. Okay, so what it is saying is basically, yes, some negative aspects it is saying. So in the interview also, if they ask you what are the recent happenings about these things, you just say that okay, actually what is happening is that the recovery aspect also is just roughly just 25 to 30% in IBC. Okay, and some cases, whereas the time period, any idea what is the time period in IBC? The maximum limit time period which the insolvency has to be done, how many days? Okay, in general case, the answer is 180 days. Remember, 180 days. So this also can be asked in prelims. 180 days. So again, what is happening according to the standing committee finance? It says that some cases take as long as 2 years for the resolution, far beyond the limit envisaged. Okay, and how much pendency is there? Almost 20,000 cases are pendency in NCL. Okay, so these are some observations of this committee. which you may use in your answer. Okay? So again, some recommendations. Again, you will have just 10 to 15 seconds to give some recommendations. So you just use these words, especially like capacity building of the professionals. That word you try to use, and not only here, try to use this word in any other question also. Like they'll ask you, okay, give me some reforms. For example, recently one of the student told me that they asked uh, uh, solution to improve grievance redressal mechanism. Okay. So solution to improve grievance redressal mechanism. Okay. So can we again use this word capacity building there also? Common word capacity building. So capacity building actually is a very common word and it's a very good word as well. Okay. So wherever required, you can say that capacity building is the most important thing, which is lacking in most of the things, and that has to be done first. So be it grievance redressal or be it this bankruptcy code and all. Okay, you can use this word. Next, the committee also says that dedicated benches are required to solve this IBC cases. Okay, because NCLT almost there are 20,000 cases pending. So what we require is dedicated benches. So in this way, you try to answer the question. And for prelims purpose, you focus more on this 180 days kind of thing, and rest what are important are there, I will cover in the current affairs class. And yes, for prelims purpose, these type of questions they are asking, especially this differences or interchange type of question. So try to answer this question. IBC and this, we are expecting that they may ask this type of interchange question in the exam. Under the IBC, banks and financial institutions have the power to recover non-performing assets without the intervention of courts. The IBC requires the establishment of a regulatory authority to oversee insolvency, whereas SARFAESI Act primarily concerned with the enforcement of security interests. Okay. So, does this make sense, IBC? Second statement, IBC requires establishment of regulatory authority. Is there any regulatory authority in IBC? There is an Insolvency and Bankruptcy Board of India. So Insolvency and Bankruptcy Board of India. There is definitely a regulatory authority. Whereas SARFAESI Act is mostly about enforcement of security interests. What is this word? I'll simply explain. Like for example, let us say you have taken some loan from a bank. Okay. So generally, what you give to bank when you take a loan? Okay. Some No, not apart from interest. Before, like you're going and applying for a loan, right? So as such, a bank will just not give you loan. Okay, they'll ask for something. What is it called? Yes, it is called security collaterals. Very security interest or security collaterals. So now suppose, give me one example of security collateral. Okay, be it gold, very good. Either land, okay, warehouse receipts also, yes, you can say house, very good. So these are some security interests. Now, for example, you haven't paid back the loan. Okay. Now, the bank will act according to which act? IBC or SARFAESI Act. Now, bank wants to sell your house or sell your land or sell your gold. Okay. It will act under what? Which act? Very good. It will act under SARFAESI Act. So SARFAESI Act is providing power to the bank to sell your security. So that is the idea of SARFAESI Act. Okay. Simple, I'm saying in a very simple language I have given. Whereas there is some company, okay, it is in some losses and all. It has taken some loan, but it is in losses. Okay, so it wants to file for some insolvency or bankruptcy. Then it comes under IBC. Okay. And there is some overlap. Definitely, it is there. Okay, but don't worry about that overlap at all. Just in this way, you try to remember. Simple enforcement of security interest comes under SARFAESI Act, and whereas this resolution of this insolvency or bankruptcy and all, they come under basically IBC. Okay, so this basic you remember, and definitely in the exam they are going to ask you basics. Okay. Next, coming to this asset reconstruction companies are registered under RBI and regulated under IBCL. Is it right? Asset reconstruction companies come under what? See, IBC has come in 2016, but this name asset reconstruction companies, can I say, was earlier also? Because you might have easily remembered this ARCs, this word was there earlier as well. Okay. So asset reconstruction companies are registered under RBI and regulated under, again, remember, they are also regulated under SARFAESI Act. Okay, so asset reconstruction companies. And if I say now they can act as resolution applicants under IBC, is it right or wrong? They can act as resolution applicants, means they can also participate in this insolvency and bankruptcy, whatever procedure is there, they will also participate. So yes, definitely they can participate. RBI has recently allowed ARCs to participate as resolution applicants in IBC. So they'll also go for, and whenever if there is some asset and all, they'll try to buy that asset or whatever they can do, okay, for insolvency or bankruptcy. So this is what is in the news as well, and this has been mentioned a lot in the review as well, IBC and SARFAESI. So basic differences you have to know. And in the interview also, if they ask you that what should be done and all, you need to focus more on especially this aspect. Okay, especially for IBCs, what has to be done. I have given here two things, and you can also use these words like ARCs. Okay, these type of words you need to use. And very basic difference I have given here clearly. You can go through this. What is the basic difference between SARFAESI and IBC? Okay. So after the class, you can go through this slide. Yeah, the answer here is basically, see, this is under IBC, this statement is wrong. Okay. This statement is for what? Financial institutions have the power to recover non-performing assets without the intervention of courts. This statement is for, yes, the statement is for SARFAESI Act, because without intervention of the courts, they have given some powers to the banks to enforce their security interests. Okay. Whereas, yes, courts are involved in IBC. Can I say that courts means what type of court is involved in IBC? Very good. National Company Law Tribunal. Okay. So these are some differences. You go through this later. And apart from that, these two things have also been mentioned. So in the answers also, you can mention this debt recovery tribunal and asset reconstruction company. So basics I wanted to give here because they are asking act also in the exam, under which act they come. So debt recovery tribunals come under this Recovery of Debts and Bankruptcy Act, whereas asset reconstruction companies come under securitization reconstruction of financial assets, SARFAESI Act. Okay. So these basics you try to remember. They'll try to confuse you in the exam by interchanging the acts. Okay. Next, in the review, this also has been mentioned: pre-packaged insolvency resolution process. And in interview also they may ask you this: pre-packaged insolvency resolution process is sometimes mentioned in use in the context of. Pre-packaged insolvency resolution process, sometimes mentioned use, is in the context of. Pre-packaged insolvency resolution process, sometimes mentioned in news, is in the context of. Yes, it is mentioned in the context of. Remember, MSMEs is mentioned in the context of MSMEs. Okay. See what happened again in IBC. In IBC again, it is mostly for large corporations and all. But for MSMEs as such, there was yes, for MSMEs also it will work, but these MSMEs require a bit faster resolution and all these things. So what they have done is they brought a pre-packaged insolvency resolution. So some pre-mediation will be done. Okay, out of court settlement you can call it. Some pre-mediation will be done to solve the issues of MSMEs. So for that they brought pre-packaged insolvency resolution, and this was amended to which act? Okay, very good. It was amended to IBC Act itself. IBC Act. So in an amendment to IBC, this has been brought, which is called pre-packaged insolvency resolution process. Okay. So they may ask you directly in this way in prelims. Okay, it is related to what? Basically, the word important word is this. Small and medium-sized enterprises. You have to remember. So it is a mechanism that allows distressed company to work on a resolution plan in cooperation with creditors before initiating formal insolvency proceedings. For MSMEs, if the default amounts range from 10 lakh to 1 crore, this is applicable. Okay, this is applicable for 10 lakh to 1 crore and enacted under IBC in 2021. Okay, so this clarity you need to have. So it is an alternative insolvency resolution process for MSMEs. Okay, good. You understood, right? If it is asked, okay, you should be able to answer this question in the exam. Prepackaged insolvency. Why this is important? Simple reason I'll tell you. Whenever there is some reconstruction type of questions, especially related to insolvency, questions have been asked in the exam. Can I say that? Can you give me one example where RBI has taken some initiative or some enactment has been asked, especially related to restructuring or debt? Then UPSC, I'm saying PYQs, there is some questions, right? If you remember S4A, do you remember S4A? S4A. This question was asked in which year? It was asked in, I think, somewhere in 2016 or 17. I think they've asked this S4A. So in that way, whenever this restructuring type of things are there, they are going to ask you in the exam. And in that context, prepackaged insolvency resolution process is important. Okay, now this also has been asked already, like non-financial debt includes what? Okay, non-financial debt. Okay, so financial debt is there, non-financial debt is there. Simple, the difference is financial is some financial institutions. Okay, so financial institutions like banks, which they borrow and all between the financial institutions, those come under financial debt. Other people who are taking, they come under non-financial debt. Who are those other people apart from financial institutions? They are like normal individuals, or you can say even government borrowing also will come under non-financial debt. Okay, so government generally borrows through government borrowing. Question is very important, which I will discuss in the economics class. Okay, in economics class, I'll discuss all those things. But for now, yeah, just tell me, yes, it through treasury bills. Very good. What are the instruments which is used by government to borrow? So it issues bills, bonds. Very good. Debt market. Okay. So based on that, G-sets. Very good. Government securities. Okay, that is how government borrows. They all come under non-financial debt. Okay, financial debt is something which banks or institutions which they borrow between them and all, they come under financial debt. So here the answer will be what? Housing loans of individuals or credit card of individuals and treasury bills, they come under non-financial debt. The answer will be here all. So similarly, let us see some other words which have been used in the this review. The non-financial label means that the principally engaged in the production of non-financial goods and services opposed to financial services. So if I say real estate, transport services, construction, do they come under non-financial sector? Real estate, transport services, and construction, do they come under non-financial sector? Yeah, I'll come to that, Pramod. I'll come to that real sector and this one. First, let us discuss this. Okay, financial sector and non-financial sector. So non-financial is yes, more or kind of real sector like giving financial goods, services, and all. Okay, so it is basically non-financial sector. Financial sector. Give me some example of activities in financial sector. Give me some examples of activities in financial sector. Yes, securities, bonds, okay, banking, all those will come under financial sector. So the basic difference you have to know about financial and non-financial first. Okay. Based on that, again they have asked you a question in the exam called real sector. So remember, examiner is trying to ask the same questions just in a different manner. So understanding PYQs is very important for the exam. So here again, real sector they are calling. So real sector again here, tell me what can be eliminated if they are asking real sector. The word real, what options can be eliminated, which are not real, which are not real. So here, yes, comes lending and all, they again come under financial aspects. So here mostly they are focusing on the non-financial sector, farmers having their crops and textile mills converting raw cotton into fabrics. So in 2024 also, they may try to ask you some question on these lines. So I'm trying to cover most of these words. So here again, real economy is basically yes, primary sector, secondary sector, tertiary sector. This is called basically real economy. And yes, this is financial economy, financial market. Okay, and this is the society which invests and takes some dividends. Okay, so this is how the entire economy runs: real economy versus financial economy. Now, based on this, uh, this review also is talking about something called virtual economy and digital economy. Okay, again, there is some difference between virtual economy and digital economy as well. So if I draw a Venn diagram, can I say virtual economies completely can be understood under digital economy? Virtual, digital. Okay, is this diagram right? Or you will say digital is small and virtual is large. Which diagram is right? Right, one or two? Okay. So yes, virtual is small. Virtual is subset of digital economy. Remember that. Okay. Virtual is a subset of digital economy. So very basic I have given here. To understand in a very simple way, So if you play games, like let us say PUBG or this type of games, if you play, there are people are buying some virtual things in those platforms. Okay, so those things basically are forming virtual economy. So specifically to economy created within virtual worlds. Like for example, if I buy real estate in metaverse, what is it? If I buy real estate in metaverse, what is it? Is it virtual or digital? Okay. Yes, it is. Yeah, cryptocurrency, everything will come under virtual economy. The crypto, you're buying using some virtual cryptocurrencies and all. If you're using to buy certain thing, this digital this thing, then they also come under virtual. Okay. So one example, remember, especially these products which people are buying, especially in gaming, online platforms, gaming and all, those things come under virtual, within virtual. So virtual economy versus digital economy. So in the exam, they may definitely ask this time because if you remember these type of questions like augmented reality, virtual reality already have been asked. And now the recent articles you will see virtual economy and digital economy. Okay, next consider the following activities. So are related to acquisition of non-financial assets. So which of them are non-financial assets? Activities related to non-financial assets. Yeah, CBDC is a digital part. Okay. Digital, you can say. Again, I told you, right? It is kind of a bit like virtual aspects completely come under digital. So definitely anything is actually digital only. Okay. But particularly virtual definition you have to. Okay, so that you can differentiate when they ask you in the exam. Which of the following come under non-financial assets? Related to non-financial assets. Mhm. Bond is financial or non-financial? Bond is non-financial or financial. Bond is financial, right? Just now we discussed, na? Securities, bonds. Okay, all these are financial. Okay, and what is non-financial here? Okay, first, are financial tangible and intangible? Are non-financial assets tangible and intangible? Non-financial assets, are they tangible and intangible? Or do you think non-financial assets are just tangible? So this clarity you need to have first, because they'll ask you, they'll give you some statements and they'll say non-financial assets are only tangible assets. They are both tangible as well as non-tangible. Non-financial assets are both tangible as well as non-tangible assets. So here tell me which is tangible asset, which is tangible non-financial asset. Yes, gold. Gold is a tangible non-financial asset. Even the canvas also is a tangible asset. You can see that. Okay, properly. Okay. Whereas IPR patent, Patent is non-tangible asset. Like you can say intangible, yes, intangible asset. So non-financial asset, both are tangible and non-tangible. Whereas here a financial asset is government bond. Okay, so basic difference I have given here. You can go through what is financial asset and what non-financial assets are, and they may ask a question because I have checked PYQs. Lot of PYQs, this wealth, tangible wealth, intangible wealth. Okay, again, repeatedly they are asking you these things. Okay, so they may ask a question on financial asset and non-financial asset. Next, consider the following. Financial corporations have the largest share in total outstanding external debt. So external debt is also an important topic for UPSC. Even for interview also they may ask because this is a very recent article on external debt. So financial corporations have the largest share in total outstanding external debt. Majority of the external debt is denoted in US dollar. Loans remain the largest component of external debt. So these keywords I have taken from the statements I have taken from that article. Okay. So what is the answer? So remember, non-financial corporations have the highest share. It is not financial corporations. So it is not as such banks which take or this NBFCs which take a lot of money from outside. It is the private companies which take like financial, non-financial corporations. Okay? So non-financial corporations means this private companies which take external commercial borrowings. So non-financial companies or corporations are the highest share in the external debt. Remember, okay, easily you can be confused with this. Okay, they'll just remove non-financial and they'll give you financial corporation. Okay, so whereas the statement is completely wrong. What should be here? Which is the largest share in total outstanding external debt? It is non-financial corporations, basically these private corporations. Okay. And what is the share extra of government here? What is the share of government in external debt? General government debt. What is the percentage approximately in external debt? In external debt, government share is not that much at all. Now only we discussed it. The share of non-financial corporations is more, and government here it is 20%. Yes. So this basics you have to know. Next, loans remain the largest component of external debt. Yes, definitely loans remain. Rest is deposits, like this non-resident deposits are there, right? They also come under external debt. Next, there are trade, credit, and advances, okay, which are given for this exports and imports. And then there are debt securities, like from multilateral or bilateral debt securities we take, right? So those also are here. So what is the highest again? The highest is basically the loans part. Okay. Then comes currencies and deposits. So this is the information given in the recent article, and this also has been talked in the review. Okay, especially external debt. So these basics you have to know. Drivers of India's growth. So again, this is for interview purpose. So if they ask you drivers, what are the drivers of India's growth? And in that review, all this have been mentioned. So you can just after the class, I'll share this. Okay, you can just go through and prioritize your answer. Okay, if they ask you like what are the recent drivers of India's growth, you try to mention all this aspects. And especially these words you have to use more. Okay, production linked incentives, 100% FDI, decriminalizing minor offenses. Okay, and resilient service exports and lower oil import costs have resulted in lowering India's current account deficit. They'll ask you these questions also in the interview, like what are the reasons why recently there is a decrease in our current account deficit. The major reasons are resilient service exports and lower oil import costs. And so drivers and all, you can say ease of business or new public sector enterprise policy, or you can also talk about national logistic policy. So try to answer in that way. Okay, one policy you can give. Okay, one scheme you can give. Okay, so in that way, you try to decide three or four things which you can always use when an answer is asked. Okay, one policy, one scheme. Okay, and one any law. Okay, when any amendment has been brought to change the things. Okay, so that in that way, you can give at least four or five things in the exam, and they'll be definitely unique, right? Okay, one law or amendment you can use. One you can use one scheme, okay, or one policy initiative, any policy initiative like national logistic policy. Okay, so in that way you try to differentiate your answer when they ask. Okay, so it will be very unique as well when you structure your answer. So, and challenges again here, challenges in the review, what they have mentioned is especially deglobalization. That is nothing but this fading of hyperglobalization, deglobalization, friend shoring and onshoring. This word has been used. So let us see what is this word friend shoring and onshoring. They may ask in the exam as well as in the prelims. In the prelims also, they may ask you what is the friend shoring and onshoring. And trade-off between energy security and economic growth versus energy transition. So this is also a great challenge now, because this energy transition is a great challenge for us because we are heavily dependent on coal. Okay, and the advent of artificial intelligence. So what are the challenges to Indian economy? Do not forget, or compulsory you have to mention artificial intelligence. Okay, and ensuring the availability of talent and appropriate skill. Skill also definitely is a challenge. So these are some basic challenges which are mentioned in the review. So try to mention this when they ask you. And yes, these words like artificial intelligence, on this energy transition, these are the words I want you to use in the interview as well. And this friend shoring and onshoring, try to use rather than just saying globalization is reducing and all. You try to use these words. Okay, what is this friend shoring and onshoring? Let us see. Later, I'll in the slides I'll discuss. Before that, some basic questions which they are asking in the exam, like what is the share of manufacturing in the GBA? Because in the review also this has been discussed. So, what is the share of manufacturing right now? Any idea in the entire GDP or GBA? Approximately, yes, it is less than 20. If it is less than 20, somewhere around 70. Very okay, we are not, and overall industry we talk, if you talk about, yes, somewhere around 25 to 26 you can mention. And is it increasing or decreasing? Though we have Make in India campaigns and all, but still the economic survey itself has mentioned that it has reduced from 18 to 17%. Okay, so 1% drop is there. So actually it has decreased in the recent years. And what is the share of services in GVA? It is, yes, services more than half. Remember, okay? Services is more than half, around 56. Yeah, more than 50. Remember, more than. So these basics you can remember. Next, some questions they have asked on what is the difference between GB and GDP. Again, just by one word you can differentiate, that is value. Okay. So if they're asking basically GBA, we are calculating just value added. That's it. So when you calculate just value added, it is GBA. Whereas we calculate the final good and the price of the money value of final good and prices, it is basically GDP. So nowadays, mostly they are using GVA because it is bit more accurate than GDP. Okay, because just they are calculating the value added. Example I have given here, like if bread costs 100 and the ingredients cost 60, so the value added basically will be 40, and this is what they are trying to calculate in the GVA. So this basic, just remember the value at that word you have to use in the uh, interview. Okay, when they ask you if your GBA and GDP difference. Now, recently, angel tax also has been mentioned, and in current affairs also it is there. So they may ask what is the angel tax. Even in the prelims also, it's very, very, very important. So the recent some amendments have been done for angel tax. So that is the reason it is important. So angel tax, which is income tax, there is an income tax of 30.6% is levied when an unlisted company issues shares. For example, let us say, give me one unlisted company, any company unlisted, which is unlisted. Okay, Swiggy. Swiggy is not listed, right? Still. So let us go with Swiggy. So Swiggy is there now. Swiggy issues some shares to some investor. Okay, and is it going to just provide that fair market value, or will it increase the price? So sometimes there are some companies, what they do is they definitely increase the price because it is calculated on the future thing. Okay, they will say that we are going to earn that much in next 10 years, 20 years, or whatever, and it will inflate the price and all. These things generally happen. Okay. So what happens if Swiggy is inflating the price? What is government is saying that, okay, that inflated price is there, right? Okay. So that is basically the income of Swiggy. This is what government is saying. Okay, the inflated price is basically your income, and you should pay the tax on that income. And what is the tax on that income? Is called, it is called angel tax. See, generally, again, actually, this is not the purpose of this. Generally, what is happening is that some of the companies or some of the startups, okay, the investment is coming from this money laundering and all. Okay, and wantedly they are increasing the price and selling the shares. So that laundered money is coming and they are investing in these companies. So that is the reason also why this angel tax has been implemented. Okay, so to address that. So even if you launder and all everything you do, again you have to pay 30% tax. So there will be less incentive for laundering the money. So that is also one reason why angel tax is being applied. So that is angel tax, and recently in the Finance Act 2023 proposed to extend angel tax even to the non-resident investors. Earlier it was for resident investors. Now it is also applicable for non-resident investors. Why? To address what issue? Now it is being applicable to NRIs as well to address the major issue of, very good, to address the major issue of money laundering. So this also you try to use in the answers, or in prelims also this is important. It is applicable to NRIs as well, non-resident. And basic thing, unlisted company, they are increasing the share price, and for that increase, it has even increased. So that is the income of that company, and they have to pay 30.6%. Okay. Next, coming to friend shoring, these words may be asked in interview as well as in the prelims. So, what is, especially this word is a buzzword, and in World Economic Forum article, all these words have been given recently. So, I have taken the words from there itself, and this friend shoring is given in your review also. Okay. So, what is this friend shoring? Is a growing trade practice where supply chain networks are focused on countries regarded as political and economic allies. So the supply chain networks, whatever are there, okay. So US is trying to build some supply chain networks for India and some South Asian countries, and is also tying up with Japan. So what can we call this? We'll call it friend shoring. Friend shoring. Okay, so friends, especially the supply chain network is being focused especially on the friendly countries, and that is called friend shoring. Near shoring, if you focus more on the border countries, okay, it is called near shoring. Reshoring or inshoring is basically what? Reshoring is when a business transfers operations to its home country. When the business transfers the operations to its home country, it is called reshoring. So this is the difference. Friend shoring, near shoring, and offshoring is not the same thing as outsourcing. Where work is contracted out to external organization is called outsourcing. Okay, whereas offshoring is when a company relocates some of its existing operations abroad. So existing operations are relocated, then it is called offshore. Okay, so there is a difference between outsourcing and offshore. So these are some things which and why this is important, because recently World Economic Forum has given an article on top risk to growth. And what is the top risk here? The top risk is global supply chain bottlenecks. And the keyword is what? So in the exam, in the interview also, you try to use this one word. What is that word you'll use now in your answer? So why are this bottle necks created? In the previous slide we discussed, because of what type of shoring? Yes, friend shoring, very friend shoring, and all these are happening, and these are actually creating bottlenecks. Okay? So try to use these words in the exam. Sorry, in the interview. Fine. So private financial consumption expenditure. Again, this is important for prelims. What is this private financial consumption? They may ask you what is this private and why is it important. In the review, it is mentioned that this is one of the reasons why India has recovered from COVID. So in the interview also, you can use this word. So they'll ask you, why do you think India has recovered fast from COVID and all? You should say that it is mostly because of the consumption expenditure. Okay, so people have started to spend a lot, and because of that there is a good revival in the economy. So private financial consumption expenditure has increased. So this also be can I connect it to which topic which we discussed, especially I told you there is some decrease, and the decrease is basically because of the decrease in assets, the decrease in savings. Okay, yes, the decrease in household savings. So basically what happened, yeah, we are trying to spend more. Okay, we are trying to spend more. So we are buying vehicles or houses and all. We're trying to. So that actually has revived a lot our economy. So that is called private financial consumption. Emerged as a major growth driver post COVID pandemic. So if they ask you why, so one word or this you have to use is private financial consumption expenditure. So what is this? Basically, expenditure incurred on financial consumption of goods and services by residents households and non-profit institutions serving households. So even by non-profit institutions, they also supply goods, right? So they also come under this private financial consumption expenditure. So, for example, a NGO is providing, let us say, free meals. Does it come under this? An NGO providing free meals, does it come under private financial consumption expenditure? Definitely yes. Okay, if an NGO providing bicycles to girl students for free, it also comes under private financial consumption expenditure. Okay, is it clear, everyone? So in the interview, how are you going to use this? If they ask you like reasons for the easy revival or resilience of our economy, you have to talk about this thing, private financial consumption expenditure. Next, try to use these words also, unified logistics interface, because in the interview, they are asking you some questions on this infrastructure aspect and all. So there you try to use, recently India has adopted this unified logistics interface platform. And in this, there are three components. One is integration, another is data exchange, and another is unified document reference. So because of these three things, there is a, better integration in the, especially infrastructure. Okay, so logistics infrastructure. So again, it was launched in 2022 under National Logistics Policy. Okay. Unified Logistics Interface Platform. Fine. So in the India stack, yes, this India stack has been asked a lot of times, and I am expecting that this question will be asked in the prelims also. They are asking digital public infrastructure. All these things are same. DPI, India stack, okay, open stack. All this will come under same thing. So India stack consists of three interconnected layers. What are they? The India stack consists of three important layers, and what are those layers? India stack is nothing but APIs that allow government, business, startups, individuals, developers, everyone to utilize some unique digital infrastructure. Okay? So if you are utilizing, let us say, in a BIM is there, if you are utilizing NPCI, you are utilizing UPI, let us say, if you are doing UPI and creating some apps and all, yes, definitely it will come under India stack. Can you give me examples of some more examples of India stack? One is, let us say, UPI based apps. Yes, Aadhaar based also are there. Aadhaar enabled payments, very good. They also come under India stack. Okay, Coven is there. All those things come under India stack. So, but there are three layers, interconnected layers of this India stack. What are those three layers? Basically, first is identity layer, that is Aadhaar. Okay, second is payments layer, that is UPI. And third is data layer, that is account aggregator. Okay, this anyways I will discuss in the economics class. Okay. So just remember there are three layers for our India stack. One is data layer, then is payments layer, and another is identity layer. And consider the following: which of the above are built on top of open source? Yes, the answer is all. Okay, the answer is all. Open Forge. Any idea about this? Open Forge. What is this related to? This stack is related to what? Open Forge. And this as well. This is recently in news. MOSIP, because it has been implemented in 9 countries recently. Okay, let us see what are these two things which are mentioned in news. So OpenForge is an e-governance platform. Okay, it is an open stack for what? E-governance platform. So if you want to develop some apps to help the e-governance and all, okay, that is the open source stack is basically OpenForge. Okay, so e-governance, remember, this is the keyword. Next, for modular open source identity platform. So what happened? This Aadhaar based things are there, right? So for other countries, if you are developing an app similar to Aadhaar, okay, it is called modular open source identity platform. Okay, so basically MOSIP is identity platform if you are generating, and recently one of the IITs I think is helping to implement this MOSIP in some of the countries. Okay, they are creating something like Aadhaar infrastructure in those countries. So just remember the basic words. So if you see this, remember Aadhaar. If you see this, remember e-governance. Yes, now coming to climate part, which is discussed in the Indian review. So see, debt has been discussed. I discussed some few things. Finances also have been discussed, and this recent initiatives have been discussed, and overall economy also has been discussed, because there are only 70 pages in that. So these are some important topics which have been discussed. Apart from that, yes, climate also has been discussed. So in that, I found that very important things are there for prelims as well as interview. So let us see that. First nationally determined contribution. You already know there were some first nationally determined contributions in 2015. We said that okay, we will achieve this. Okay, like for example, 33 to 35% by 2030 emission intensity reduction. Okay, or 40% cumulative electric power, and we said that we'll add almost 2.5 to 3 billion tons of uh, this CO2 equivalent. Okay, additional forest will add additional sink. Additional sink. Tell me, in that review, they have mentioned that we have achieved certain things. So in this, tell me what we have achieved. So in the interview, they may definitely ask, like they'll ask you, India's national level contributions are there. So which of them we have achieved? They may ask you in the interview as well. In these three, which of the three we have achieved among these? So in this 1 and 2, we have achieved three. The document says that we have achieved almost 1.9 billion tons. Okay, till 2019, 1.9 billion. Rest these two, the document says that we have achieved these two, like 33% reduction of energy intensity we have done, and 40% non-fossil fuel based energy we have achieved. Okay, these two things we have achieved. So this you can mention in the interview as well. Okay, what is the India's installed solar energy? So these type of things that they are asking is important for prelims also. Okay, so the numerical aspect is also important. Like, so what is the India's installed solar energy capacity? Around, just don't give me the direct. We don't need the exact number. Just around. What is the installed solar capacity in India? So remember, it is in 70s. 70s. Some 70 gigawatt we have already achieved. Installed solar energy capacity 70 gigawatt already we have achieved. So what is the total non-fossil fuel capacity we have achieved recently? What is the total around again? Total installed non-fossil fuel capacity around? Yes, very good. I think it's around 170 to 180. Okay, around 180 you can say. So total installed capacity is around 180 gigawatt. Total non-fossil fuel, sorry, non-fossil fuel capacity is 180, and installed solar is somewhere around 70 gigawatt. So try to just remember because some factual questions are being asked in the recent. Next, yes, the carbon credit trading scheme, which is very, very, very important for prelims. The carbon credit trading scheme. The Ministry of Power has brought an amendment to carbon credit trading scheme. That is the reason it is in news, and this is very important for both for prelims and interview. And the administrator is tasked with validation of carbon credits as opposed to only verification. Earlier, the administrator was asked only to verify, but now it is validation. Validation means some more extra standards and all, they will check everything. And the world, there's a word mentioned called golden standard. What is this? Anyone? Any idea? Anyone? Golden standard. In prelims also it's important. If they ask you, the word golden or the term golden standard sometimes mentioned in news is related to what? Okay, the term, sorry, the term is gold standard. So it's not golden, it's gold standard. Gold standard. It is basically, yes, related to carbon offset. Okay, so carbon offset standards, like if someone is trying to reduce this carbon emissions and all, so there is an international standard for that. Okay, to calculate how much emissions have been reduced and all. So that standard is called what? For example, let us say I have started a vermicompost something from some waste. Okay, so I am trying to reduce some emissions. So this emissions need some standards, right? Okay, some international standards you have to follow for that. What is that international standard called? That international standard is called gold standard. Okay, so if they ask you a question like with reference to the term gold standard, yeah, basically it is related to this standard for carbon offset. Fine. And who is this administrator according to this carbon credits trading scheme? Which is the authority in India which decides on this carbon offsets or carbon credits? Who is the carbon credit administrator in India? Okay, the answer is Bureau of Energy Efficiency. Okay, so what can be an alternative option in the prelims? Can anyone give me any alternative option to confuse you? What examiner can give you in the exam? Apart from BE, there are any other alternatives? Remember PYQs. In PYQs, any other accreditation body has been used? Quality Council of India, Bureau of Indian Standards, very good. So these type of things they will try to use in the exam. So that is how you have to read the things also, like what question and how are they going to ask and what are this alternative they are going to give you. So in that way, if you revise things in the exam within less time, you can answer the question. So this is how you have to think in when you read the content as well. Okay, what type of statement can come in the exam. Next, obligated entities under the scheme. So recently there is some amendment and all. So what are these obligated entities? What are these non-obligated entities? You have to know. So non-obligated entities means registered entities that can purchase the carbon credit certificates on voluntary basis. Whereas obligated entities are mandatorily they have to purchase the credits. If they don't achieve that emissions and all, they have to mandatorily buy the credits. Okay, but now recent amendment is also allowing non-obligated entities also to participate in the carbon credit market. Okay, earlier what is to happen? Earlier obligated entities, it is definitely mandatory for them to buy that credits. Okay? So now even non-obligated entities also can participate in offset mechanism. For example, uh, let us say, one second. Okay. For example, I'm an individual. Now can I participate in this scheme? First of all, tell me, as an individual, the carbon credit trading scheme. From now on, can we participate as an individual also? Definitely, yes. As an individual, if I am registered entity, if I am registered with BE, I can definitely participate. So, whatever registered entity I have, let us say, what does it do is some carbon offset I am doing. Okay, some carbon offset. So give me some example of carbon offset. Give me some example of carbon offset. Like I'm reducing carbon emission. Simple. Okay. Give me some examples of activities where we are reducing carbon emissions. Solar. Okay. Afforestation. Yes, I do afforestation. Let us say maybe my entity does afforestation or my entity does rooftop solar installations. Okay. So if my entity does rooftop solar installations, can I go for this scheme then? Definitely, yes. Okay, though I may not be obligated to buy the carbon credits, but what happens? I can go and like whatever offset I have done, for that I can get a credit. Okay, and who will validate all these things? For even non-obligated entities also, who will validate? Very good. The validation will be done by Bureau of Energy Efficiency. So this is what is important, and recently, this has been covered both in the review as well as in many newspapers. Okay, so they may ask you about this obligated entities, non-obligated, or the scheme carbon credits trading scheme. Try to mention this in your answers. And what is offset also they may ask you. See, offset is a mechanism used to finance greenhouse gas emissions reductions or sequestration, often equivalent to reduce residual of emissions. Okay. So whatever emissions I reduce, based on that, you can take the credits. What are the incentives have provided critical support in boosting renewable energy? So in that review, like in the interview, if they ask you what are the incentives government has provided for renewable energy, give me some examples of schemes or policies related to this. In the interview, if they ask you, like give me some critical renewable energy policies or incentives which are being given by government. So try to mention unique things like this, okay, this thing, like this carbon credits trading scheme. You try to mention that. Okay? So your answer has to be a bit different from others. Apart from that, any other recent solar also like 1 crore solar roof plants has been declared, right? That also you can mention. So all those things, whatever this renewable Ujjwala scheme, all those schemes also you can mention. Okay? So I have mentioned here whatever has been given in the review. I have mentioned it. So just go through one or two, three things you can mention in the interview. Next, most important is the Green Credits Rule 2023 has been notified in October 2023, and this is very important. Green Credit Rules. So it is issued under which act? Green Credit Rules is issued under which act? So these type of questions come in the prelims. Green Credit Rules 2023 has been notified under which act? So under Mission Life, government is implementing two things. One is green credit and other is this. I think already we discussed in the previous classes. Under Mission Life, government is implementing two things. One is this green credit scheme and the other is very good. Eco mark. One is green credit program, and other is Eco mark. Okay, Eco mark. So yeah, to implement this green credit program, recently Green Credit Rules 2023 have been notified in October. So it is implemented under which act? Energy Efficiency Act. Okay, it is not Environmental Protection Act. So mostly in the exam, if they ask you, the alternative act is Environmental Protection Act, they will give you. But the actual answer is which act? Energy Conservation Act. Okay, so under Energy Conservation Act, they have brought this green credit rules. Next, carbon credit trading scheme was introduced under carbon credit trading scheme was introduced under which act? Okay, one second. Okay, one second. Let me once again clarify this. Okay, sorry. There is a bit confusion. Okay. Green credit rules have been issued under EPA. Okay. Sorry, I got confused. Green credit rules have been issued under EPA, and carbon credit trading scheme has been issued under, yes, Energy Conservation Act, ECA. Okay. So definitely they are going to interchange the things in the exam. Okay. So again, I'll clarify once again. Green credit rules have been notified under EPA. Okay. And carbon credit trading scheme has been introduced under Energy Conservation Act. Okay. Fine. Next, anyone can participate from individuals and communities to business and industries in green credit rules. Under green credit rules, anyone can participate from individual communities to business and industry. Is it true or false? Under green credit rules, anyone can participate from individuals, communities, and business and industries. Yes, this is true. So it is clearly given in the notification that yes, individuals, communities, business, industries can participate. So what is the definition of green credit given in the rule is the rules define green credit as a single unit of an incentive provided for a specific activity that delivers a positive impact on the environment. So remember this for even the interview as well. In the interview, if they ask you what is the definition of green credit, so any positive impact if you do, if you take it in a single unit, it is called green credit. Okay, it's a very broad definition. Okay. And activities under green credits, you can go through after the class. Some of the activities have given here. So all these activities come under green credit. So what is the framework like? The framework for acceptance of green credits. It is given by SEBI or RBA. Framework for acceptance of green deposits is given by RBA or SEBI. Framework for acceptance of green deposits. Definitely deposits means it has to be RBA. Okay. Next, sovereign green deposit investments fall under the framework. Can I say sovereign green bonds investments fall under framework? Yes or no? The answer is yes. And for prelims, most important statement, the current framework permits green deposits to be denominated in Indian rupees only. Is this right statement or wrong statement? The current framework permits green deposits to be denominated in Indian rupees only. The statement is right. The statement is true. And UPSC has already asked you these type of words, especially if you remember external debt. External debt, the denomination is US dollar. This type of questions already are asked. So the current framework permits green deposits to be denominated in Indian rupees only. It has to be denominated in Indian rupees only. This is the right statement. Okay, remember, this is the right statement. It's not a wrong statement. And in the exam, definitely, if they ask you about this framework and all, that statement may be asked in the exam. Okay, so that's it. These are some important things I found in the review. And yes, for interview students also, I hope some aspects of this class you can use in your answers, okay, to make it better. And test the next test on medieval India and all we have uploaded. Kindly give the test. I'll inform about the test discussion, but revise Lucent properly and give the test. Okay. So if you revise Lucent properly, you will definitely improve your marks. So some questions I have given from Lucent itself, and slides anyways you will prepare. So prepare both and give the medieval India test. Again, don't waste lot of time. Don't read lot of things. Okay, just Lucent and just slides. Okay, and if you want to practice, already I have given you medieval India uh, questions. Okay, from UGC questions I have given you. So you just go through questions. Okay, that also you can. That's it. Okay, don't prepare a lot of medieval India, not required. So that's it for today. And yeah, if you have any further doubts, even the interview students, if you have any doubts, we'll connect to tell you. So thanks everyone for attending. We shall meet in the next class.